down.
Woo!
Hot.
Hot and bright.
Hot and bright.
You don't have sunglasses.
I don't have sunglasses on. I should put some on. Hey gang, Sean and Don here. We are at the top of the world. It feels like the top of the world of us here. We're up at this massive ridge line.
I mean, I really think it is the top.
It is. We're at the end of the road. So today's video, though, we're just out doing some exploring here, is to talk about who we think is a good fit for van life, whether that's weekend van life or full-time van life, and who may not be a good fit for weekend van life. So as we've been kind of waiting for our van, we noticed a lot of people, like, we had to wait over a year, right? Did a lot of planning, lots of soul searching of what is this the right purchase for us, because it's a big purchase. And I feel like we had a fairly good understanding of what van life would be. There were some surprises that we've learned. And so we're going to tell you.
I think we went into it knowing
who we are.
Well, and knowing that there would be things along the way that we'd have to work through,
So we're going to journey down this trail, and as we do, we're going to just stop and just kind of show you something and then tell you another little tip or little insight that might help you figure out whether this is the right setup for you or something similar or maybe something different for you is what it is. All right, let's go down the trail. All right, so first off, as we said, we're not full-time van lifers. We go every...
Important to point out that we're like long weekend
getaways,
or weekends or one-nighters, or
but we do, like, if you're not following our channel, you'll see that we're posting videos every week of getting out. So we do take our van out every week, at least for a night.
The longest we've done is what, like 6 nights?
6 nights.
But we have the hope of doing like a more of an
3 to 4 months is what we're trying to hope right now. So the one thing that I think everyone's going to realize, like, is obvious, but how important it is how organized are you?
Well, it's such a tiny space, and I think it depends on what kind of person you are, but
if you're like, I'm a gear guy. Like, I like lots of gear and be able to set the right experience up wherever we're at, whether that's watching a movie along the van somewhere in the high mountaintop. All that stuff takes space,
the tools.
Right? And so as I was going through that, I kind of knew what things I could add to the van that would hopefully allow enough space to fit the gear in that we use in and out. But that's not always a guarantee.
Right. I think the key is that you just have to figure out what your priorities are, and then you have to figure out, like, where everything goes, and everything has to have a home, like a permanent home.
Yes.
You take it out, you have to put it
Sun's
back in.
in your eyes. You're going to come over this way. I can see it right now. And so everything has to have a home. And I think the other thing is that if you're a full-time van lifer, for sure, probably everything is not in your van, and it's more seasonal for you. So we follow a lot of people, and almost every person that we know that has their own van has a storage unit that they have somewhere where they have bins, and this is their spring setup, and that's their winter setup, and this is their summer setup.
Whether or not they have a storage unit or a home base or not.
And after living in the van, I don't know how you could reasonably do that with comfort without having something like
seasons,
that. Like if you're full-time, especially, like you're going to outpace your space. Well, and we have big goals for doing lots of wintertime stuff, and we just touched the surface of it barely last year, but absolutely.
I think we've been talking about having different setups where we can take all of our summer, spring, stuff and just set it out, and then like pull in our. But wintertime will be different just because everything's bigger.
Bigger for sure.
Takes up more space.
So the other thing, sorry, something dropped.
I think having a dedicated home and space for everything. Otherwise, I know for us, it would just, after one day, it would drive us crazy of like feeling like everything's coming out your ears.
It'd be chaos. And that's the other thing that's in van life that I think a lot of people don't realize, is that you set a scene for whatever it is you're doing. And that's going to go into the next thing, is how important is daily showers for you?
Or being clean. And what does that look like?
Now, there are ways of doing this. People are watching like, no, you can use the geyser shower, you can do all this. Yes, you can.
Oh, and we know some people that are like, we doesn't matter
use our
to
bathroom.
We don't use our bathroom, we don't shower, we just have these wipes and we wipe ourselves down, and once a week or once every 5 days we find some place and we grab a quick shower.
And that's not really for us. Like we found that we really
which is cool, but
feel better if we have a shower every other day or at least a sponge bath.
Well, we like to move every day too and sweat in some way.
So it's just it just especially if you're getting in a hot van. So how important are showers for you every day? And then I think the other thing is, and another video we're gonna do. Sorry, I'm about to fall off this cliff. Another video that we plan on trying to do here is, should you build out a van or create something based off a set standard? Like our original van was a Winnebago Rebel. It fit 75% of our needs. We then built it out to the other 25% for our needs. So we'll have a video on that. So the other thing is, if you need a bathroom or a shower, and that is you, and it's something that we definitely wanted, another consideration is, can you comfortably fit in that shower and in that bathroom? And I'm not about trying to go, size issues and all that. They're just smaller units. I mean, if you think about it, it's smaller than an airport. It's probably about the same size of actually an airport bath or an airplane bathroom, most. And so can you function in that space with the toilet and all that? It's just an honest question you have to ask yourself, because if you can't,
and if that's not important to you, then you, like other setups, there's a lot more options, I would say, as far as setups, if you don't care about that, or if you're fine with having your bathroom out in the open.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of people that are very, very, very...
it definitely doesn't have to look like us, and I would say more people...
Don't look like us.
Don't look like
that version, there's a lot of people that poop in a bucket in their van, right?
Or just dig a hole in the woods.
And dig a hole. And
we have done that.
We have. We've done that. It's not our jam, especially in the
first preference.
We're in the Northwest. It rains a lot.
It's cold.
It gets cold, and we're older, and a lot. And I'm sorry if that sounds soft. We've been really hard for a lot of our life. But
We've
it's
been
like
there, done that.
Yeah. So it's like, do I really want to get outside and dig out? So those are the other considerations for van life and being realistic with that. We'll answer some more questions, but we're going to go a little bit further down the road.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk food now.
Food.
So as we were saying earlier, in the van, it's tight space. So
space is a premium.
Everything is kind of a scene. We are sleeping, we are showering, we are watching TV, we are cooking. With that is, how glamorous of cooking is it that you like to do? If you're someone that's, wants to go out there and do a Food Network, type of meal every day, easy during the summer.
Or if you love cooking and that's your jam, and that's where you want your, if you're making video and you're really into documenting all of the food prep and all of that too, it can totally work. But I think it just, you just have to think about, you have to be planned, I think, to make it fit in the van, because the fridge is so small, so you kind of have to menu plan. And I think it can be as complicated or as simple as you like.
A lot of people use Instapots, and they can kind of make a lot of cool meals.
Instapots, you see blenders and air fryers and smaller appliances, but for us, storage is a premium, and with all of the tech and the other...
I have a lot of camera gear and stuff that I take.
All the gear that we travel with, just we're very limited on bringing some of those other things, unless we're pulling our trailer and we'd bring some of the other
Correct,
stuff.
So we have a Tacoma, the van, and a trailer. So we have a lot of experience with just different setups, and we can expand our setup as we need. But if we're thinking about just the van...
we go simple.
Yeah, and so we'll use a scuttle sometimes to cook outside for the more glamorous meals. But during the winter time, I'll be honest, I'm probably not going to want to pull that scuttle out because it's winter time.
Right.
So I have to do it inside. And so that becomes a factor. If you're someone that wants a lot of variety, especially in every meal, where you want your dinner to look different than your yesterday's dinner and then your lunch, could be a little more challenging, just because of space.
And you're likely going to need to replenish every couple days.
Yes.
So, and we even have to do that too if we're out for longer.
Absolutely.
Even a 5 or 6 day trip, we're definitely replenishing probably at least once on a few things.
And so let's just talk about that as well. A little bit about tight space, and then off-grid, what kind of, if you are thinking of a van, what kind of van do you think you need? First off, if you look at where we're at, we're on this high ridge line. Now, for me, I wouldn't want to come up here without at least an all-wheel drive vehicle or four-wheel drive, for sure high clearance. That said, this spot, I'm sorry, that's Mount Olympus over there. We have fires in our region right now, so it's hard to see.
a little hazy.
But this spot can totally be gotten to with a two-wheel drive vehicle. Totally can.
This time of year.
This time of year, for sure. This time. You have to go slow. You probably need some high clearance. And so do you need, if you're getting a van, a big 4-wheel drive beast like this? Probably not. You have to ask yourself, where do you want to go? And realistically, are you going to have the opportunity? So this is the other thing that I've seen, is a lot of people that I've noticed that have gotten into van life have lived on the East Coast or in the Midwest, and they have this big vision of this. But where they geographically live,
they don't have a lot of this.
They don't have the opportunity for this. So I've learned as I've gotten into this that BLM land, Bureau of Land Management, dispersed camping is really west of the Mississippi. There is nothing really BLM land related east of Mississippi, which makes dispersed camping much harder. So
they're likely going to be more campground type.
So you have to ask that question too. Like, do you need a beast? If you think you need a beast, do you live in an area where the beast is really needed, potentially needed? And are you realistically that person that's going to use it that way? Because I'm not going to take a rig this expensive down roads that I'm not comfortable with, but I will challenge it. If you want to be on sand to do the dunes, you're probably going to need something 4-wheel drive or at least traction brakes. But one thing that we watched, a good video with Chad living the van life and Agile Off-Road, who has a diff locker now for the Mercedes chassis, any Mercedes van 2-wheel drive. And I would say that rear diff locker is as good as this vehicle is in 4-wheel drive right now. So if I add the diff locker onto this, it's going to be even better. But if you have a 2-wheel drive van, you add that diff locker on, you're damn near close to what this van can do right now. It's lifted, it has skid plates, so it has a lot more. So you just need to understand that too, and are you realistically going to do that? Are you a campground person? Like, that's where you want to be all the time, campgrounds?
Yeah.
If the answer is yes to that, and you don't like tight spaces, you're not quite sure if you like tight spaces, I'm not quite sure the van might be right for you.
Well, something else I think about is that a lot of people buying vans, they're a couple.
Yeah.
And we've followed a few stories where maybe the one partner has a different vision for where they're going to go and use it, and then maybe usually the wife often is like, hey, wait a second, like, this isn't what I had in mind.
Yeah, so
this is a little too rough.
I'm like,
and
hey,
so
we're gonna go up to this high ridge, and she's like, I want to sit here having wine next to this river.
Yeah,
the experience looks different. Are we
so
aligned?
I think a lot of people, like, changing their mind down the road, it's often that, like, they're kind of at a conflict of how they anticipated using it. So I would say, I just think do all your research. And like for us, because we had to wait a year, it gave us the opportunity to go out in the truck and see a lot of these back areas.
And do a lot of stuff.
I got a little bit more comfortable just seeing them and being like, oh, okay, we can get up there. That's no big deal. And then I'm a little more comfortable in the van. But
and also,
had we just jumped in our van and without any kind of exposure to these outlying areas in our backyard, it would have been maybe different for me.
And I think you have to also be honest with who you are as a person. Like, this is where you have to gut check and say, am I really that person, or is that who I aspire to be? And what I mean by that is Dawn is super organized. She is super clean, conscious. Like, she doesn't like any of that. I love it.
I like order.
Likes order. I like order too. She ramps it up even more. So she complements the van life very well because she wants it clean, she wants it structured. But if you're a tchotchke type person where you have like every little thing on your shelf, and which nothing wrong with that.
I'm going to recommend that you both be that way.
Yeah, I think you both have to be a little anal on that and cleanliness and order. Like, and she knows, like, no, I want this here in the van, and you're like, but it can go here. And so, but it's about storage, right? It's like we're debating where it's best to have something stored and have it structured.
Yeah.
But if you're like, whatever, just throw it wherever.
Yeah, if you're both that way, I think it's fine. I mean, we've met people who are just like, we're just super sloppy in our van. We don't even care.
Yeah.
It's like, that's cool as long as you're both that way and you're happy.
It is true. And as long as you realize that, right? That's the other thing.
It's just like anything, like in a relationship, there's give and take and there's compromise. And when you throw yourselves into a tiny little area, you better have your
thing.
Relationship figured out.
All right, we're going to roll down the road a little bit further. There's another spot we're going to check out. We're going to talk about who's living in the van and how often. Family, particularly, and it family works. More to come. All right, let's finish this up here.
All right.
All right, so last spot here on the trail that we're exploring here. Once again, these are just tips to try to help you decide whether van life is right for you. So we talked about tight spaces. How do you deal with organization? Is your partner in line with you? That brings up, who do you realistically want to be in your van life experience day in and day out? If you're single, probably pretty easy. It's like just you, likely. But,
no big deal.
But if it's a couple, you have to ask yourself, like Dawn said, are we kind of similar in the style? Because I think in this, opposites don't attract.
It's going to be hard.
I think it would be hard for that to work, right? If one person's that way, I think opposites have to align quite a bit on a lot of things, and you have to have a lot more common things.
Yeah.
Then it comes
also what stage of life you're in.
What stage of life? So, and then, do you have kids? A lot of people have this great thought process, I'm going to get this thing, or I'm going to go do family camp and do all these fun things. And it could happen. But if the hassle of setting and staging the van for the kids sleeping, the kids using the restroom, the kids eating,
becomes too difficult for you to do it very often.
What's the point, right? Really, what's the point? So the van is our primary spot. Our Tacoma is also our primary spot for where we're trying to get into spots deeper. But we have a trailer too, and that's basically our second bedroom, where we're like, hey, you want to come be with us? You can do this. Yeah. People have done rooftop tents on vans. There's a lot of creative ways.
We've seen people do it. I think if your kids are small, little, and that's all they know, I think it can work. I think when they get a little bit bigger, then you have to think of some other options. But
yeah, and I think if you have newborns, like we have a couple friends that just sold their van. They have young kids, but they were loving it with one kid. 2 kids started to become too much, especially with that young.
And the car seats. And
it's just
travel. And,
those are the things you have to really ask yourself. Is my fan, like, because if you're not going to use it every week, or you're not going to use it as often as you like, is it worth the purchase? Maybe you should look at something else and revisit this later on.
Well, and we have our granddaughter, and we like to take her out once in a while, but even the first time we took her out, we've since realized, okay, well, we need to kind of reconfigure the bed zone area for when we have her. Like, we'll pull out one of the benches in the GLSS and then make a special bed for her on the bottom. So, like, it's kind of all those things you have to think about.
It's a ton of ways
you
to
don't always
configure.
necessarily know ahead of time, but I think you have to kind of go through all those scenarios.
Yeah, and you have to be honest with yourself. I mean, I think people think they're going to rise up, and
well,
so
it's a big purchase, and you'd hate to regret it. I think a lot of people do in that first year.
I think so too. So Dawn and I own a gym and a cafe too, and I'm here like, where are you going to tie this into? But we see a lot of people that come in and they have these big commitments and to their fitness, and so they want to sign these contracts, and we always kind of caution them, like, this is a commitment, and you haven't quite showed that you have the tendency to be successful in this.
Or have you proven to yourself that
before you commit to 12 months of paying X amount of dollars? And so you have to, and people tend to want to rise up. Like, that's the person I want to be. Like, I want to be that person. And sometimes,
but does it fit in your life?
But sometimes signing the contract forces them to be that person, because they're going to come in, they're not going to waste a damn penny. Cool, if that's you might be successful in a van. But if you're someone that's like, might not be the best fit for you.
Yeah. Well, and I think the time that we were in with like COVID finishing, and I think a lot of people pivoted during COVID because they were home and things like that. So a lot of van lifers that did that during those years, now life's getting back to normal, and they're like selling their van because they got to get back into the.
I think they fell in love with the idea of the concept.
I think it can work too. Maybe it's a temporary thing.
A ton of. There are a ton of different people that do van life
and configuration
and can figure it out. If you're going to make a purchase and you're going to actually make it work, and you want to justify that purchase, I think you have to ask these questions and feel pretty confident in your answer before you commit. Otherwise, rent a van.
I'd say, I'd recommend renting one
for a long
There's a lot of adventure van rental places like us now too, so that you can actually rent one for a weekend and really
see what it's like.
See if you would enjoy it.
Now for us, we love our van. Like, we're like, how can we get 1 million miles on it? Right?
It's been amazing.
We really, it fits us well. It complements our lifestyle well, and we hope whatever you decide complements your lifestyle well, as additionally. Next video that we plan on doing here on this level is going to be talking about do you build out your own van, maybe by yourself, or have a professional integrator build it out? Or do you potentially buy a van that's already built out, and maybe that build out meets your needs? Or do you buy a van that's already previously built out and then you modify it further? And there's I have a lot of experience in this, and I can tell you exactly why I believe certain way works well. That's gonna be in the next video. You have to like and subscribe to actually hopefully see that video. Our goal is to get up to 500 people in the next couple months here, so we can start doing community posts, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So Sean and Don here. We'd love you comment, help us get to 500,
Yay.
and like and comment below. And I really do hope whatever it is you decide fits your needs, it really does work for you. I mean, that's all it is. It needs to work for you. That you use it, and it gives you the experiences that you really want.
Yeah. And if you're using it, then it's worthwhile.
It's totally worthwhile. Totally worthwhile.
Yep.
All right, gang. Until next time, we hope we see you on some dirt like this. Right? It's amazing up here.
Amazing.
All right, guys. Take care. And one more important thing, gang. Are you handy? Because things will not go according to plan always in a van, and you need to be able to figure it out and hopefully continue on your adventures. That's not good, gang. That is not good.